What's up, guys? Welcome back to Feast or Famine with the Youngs.
We are the Youngs, and you're probably going to get sick of me saying this, but we're wearing headphones again because we don't normally wear headphones.
I think that we typically normally wear headphones at this point.
Well, for virtual guests.
Well, yeah, which means we have one today. Quite the iconic one, actually.
We should do a podcast just to throw people off and wear headphones the whole time and not actually like mention anything about a guest.
And just throw them off. Well, some people actually wear headphones for their podcasts in general.
Yeah, but we just talk to each other, and I watch the little things on the recorder so that I know that sound is coming in. Now, if it sounds horrible, that's on me.
Yeah. Anyway,
we have a guest today.
Yeah.
And we've known him for
oh my gosh,
a long time. It's been a long time. Since the beginning, y'all probably know him from YouTube. We have John Branch on the computer today.
Woo. Crowd applause. Woo.
Golf clap.
Hi, friends. I'm John Branch the Fourth.
Hi. Oh, did you say the fourth?
Yes. There's
Yeah.
4.
I don't know if I knew that.
There's actually 5 now.
Did you name your son John?
Yeah.
Oh,
Awesome.
that's so cool. That's awesome.
I mean, if you're the 4th, you have to keep that going.
You have
Yeah.
to.
I want to be like a king.
Yes, yes.
King John Branch the 4th.
Yes, that's amazing. All right, John. For those who don't know you, who are you? What do you do? Where do you come from?
Don't start your speech that way, though.
Again, I'm John Branch the Fourth. I'm a wedding photographer, been for about 10 years now, and also a YouTube content creator, which I've been for 3-ish years or so. And yeah, I focus on teaching other photographers the ropes of wedding photography, which is fun.
Yeah.
And camera stuff. And you just hit a huge milestone recently.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I just hit 200,000 subs, which I still am mind blown myself that's even, I don't understand.
And dude, in 3 years, 200,003, that's insane.
We just talked with Matt Johnson, and he was talking about how, when he got started, it took him 9 years to get that kind of like growth. And like these days, if you do it right, it can take off. I remember when you started.
I talk about that a lot actually to people, because people have this idea of YouTube and like you blow up and go viral, but I'm what I would consider like the normal fast growth, because most people it's literal years and years and years. I think my channel started going well maybe 6 months into it, and then it popped off like the next year. So yeah, 3 years is fast growth for most people.
I remember you like on the group saying, hey, I'm going to jump in YouTube, follow my YouTube channel and all that stuff. And I'm like, this is going to be cool. And you're set up. I'm like, this is super clean. This is going to be good. And then all of a sudden I'm like, he has 100,000 subs.
Just like out of nowhere. Yeah.
It made no sense.
Yeah.
So we'll touch back on that in a second. Let's go back to the very beginning, because I feel like you have a story similar to just about everybody in the world that's in wedding photography or videography, in that, you worked a corporate job and you had to leave your corporate job. Tell us about how you started in wedding photography.
Yeah. I'll take you all the way back. Pre-photography, I actually majored in music production and sound design at Berklee College of Music.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you went to Berklee.
Alex just got so excited.
Because everyone's always like, you went to Berklee? You must be amazing. I try my best. But after Berklee, I moved to New York, and I did audio post-production for 3 years. This is important, too, because this leads into the YouTube stuff as well. Okay. So audio post-production on commercials and TV shows for about 3 years. I was working at Apple at the time as well, and then a lot of my Apple friends were moving to Squarespace. So they were all like, hey, you need to get in here. Moved over to Squarespace, left Apple, left the audio production because that was a long story. And yeah, so I was corporate job, Squarespace, customer service. I ended up being a team lead, so I had like 10 starter people with me, and I was like kind of entry-level manager. And at that time, my wife and I, we got pregnant with our first child, and she was like, I'd like to stay home with the kids. And I was like, cool, I probably need another job. And she was like, no, you start a business. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
So it was kind of a wife push, huh?
So we use Squarespace.
Yeah.
Do you use Squarespace now for your website?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love it.
I love it.
Everybody hates on it. Like, you got to use WordPress. I'm like, I don't know.
No.
Squarespace is so easy, and I freaking love it.
It's easy. That's the real. It's so easy because WordPress is cool and you can usually do more than Squarespace. But like, I just want to be like, boop 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 boop. Yay, it looks great.
You can do more, but at what cost?
Well, and
exactly.
Yeah, and the more, I mean, we've had Squarespace since we started our business, and I can email them and be like, hey, can you customize this for me? And like, yeah, it costs, but like, they're great at it, and like that's what they're there for. So
but
why
even
not?
if we don't want to, we can go in and do it ourselves. Like, it's
It's
I
so
compare
good.
it. I compare it. We're digressing, but I compare it to Apple versus Macintosh, where Apple is so unbelievably user friendly, where Macintosh, you kind of, it's gotten better, but you have
You have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Not Macintosh. What am I saying? Microsoft.
Microsoft. I was like, what
Mac
is
and Apple,
Macintosh?
the same thing.
What is that?
Macintosh?
Yeah, I'm like looking at you sideways.
That's the full word for Mac.
Oh,
That's like back in the day.
I did not know that.
Everyone just calls it Apple now.
Yeah.
Alex,
it's a holiday, and we are here earlier than we've ever been.
What?
So you're gonna get real Alex today. That is just like
What?
cuckoo for Cocoa
okay,
Puffs.
Anyway, back
you
to your
worked at
story, John.
Squarespace, and your wife said you need to start a business.
So at the time, I was dabbling in photography because I always thought it was cool. But again, I was majoring in music. Music was like my thing. That's what I was doing for a while. And I'm kind of like a man of the arts, I guess you can say. Like, I used to dance a lot. I used to draw. I do a lot of things. It's like too much, jack of all trades.
Yep.
And I always thought photography was cool, but I like never had done it. And at the time, I was dabbling in it, and a lot of people were like, hey, your composition's pretty good. Your stuff's not so bad. So I was like, maybe I could do photography. And so I took about a year to really start learning it and understanding what I could. Because I have a pet peeve of people buying a camera and then being like, I'm a photographer.
Yeah.
It's like, just learn something at least. Like,
You and me
you
both.
can't, I hate people who gatekeep as well.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
at least try to like respect the art enough to be like, okay, at least I
I
know
need
the
to learn.
exposure triangle. Because there's a level of expertise you just have to get by doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But at least if you're like, I cared to learn and then go from there. So
I feel like
did
it's
that.
I feel like that's like exceptionally like bad right now because you can learn so easily with like TikTok and YouTube and like people just it's like I mean it's good but it's like people just jump in and they're like, oh, I'm
That was
great at
actually
this
where
now.
my question was. What year was that when you first started learning?
So I really started in 2014. So yeah, it was like 2013 and stuff because my eldest, my daughter, she was born in 2014.
Okay.
And actually my first shoot, she was like a week old and my mom was in town at the time and my wife and my daughter came and they were like, yay, yay. And it was like my first
Aw.
paid shoot. I got like
That's
$50
awesome.
or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my first shoot, the couple was literally like, bro, if we didn't already book our wedding photographer, and I'm over here like, this is the first time I've ever done this.
Yeah, I feel like nowadays there's so much like if we collectively had the resources when we all started.
Could you imagine?
Could you imagine how much faster we'd be like having it?
Oh my
It'd be
goodness.
both intimidating because there's so many people that are just starting that I'm just like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you've gotten so good so fast.
It's because there's people like John Branch on the internet.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But yeah, anyway, so I digressed again. This is kind of what we do. We digress all the
that's
time.
okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
Actually.
So you shot your first paid gig was at a what? You said it was a wedding?
No, it was a
Engagement.
session
Engagement,
engagement.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
right.
but
That's
they
right.
they wanted to book me for wedding, and I had no idea. That was actually kind of the trend when I first started. I think my third engagement session was the same thing, which is how I booked my first wedding, because they kept grilling me, being like, "Do you shoot weddings? Have
Yeah.
you shot?" And at the time, I hadn't really. I was
Was
like,
it even-
sometimes I second, maybe I don't.
Yeah. Was it like even on your radar?
I knew I wanted to do them at some point, but I had never done one, so I was like scared. I like understood how much it was.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
ended up booking me after the engagement. This was like my third engagement session, and that's when I had my freak out moment because luckily they booked in a year.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was like, oh God, I have to figure out what I'm doing before their wedding.
Did
Yeah.
you second shoot with anybody in that year time just to like kind of get something under your belt?
I didn't. I don't
Man.
suggest that
No.
to anybody. Yeah, I jumped in head first.
Wow.
Yeah, I think my first
Risky
wedding
business.
was a short one that I did like at Central Park, and it wasn't a full day. It was just like some of the ceremony, couple photos afterwards, whatever.
Okay.
My second one was for a friend of my wife's, and it was also kind of the same thing, just kind of like small, whatever. And leading up to the year of the couple who booked me, when I had no experience, I had shot, I think, 5 weddings. So when I got to their wedding, I was more like, okay, cool, I got this. But when I booked them, I was like, oh my God, what have I done?
What did I do to myself?
Yeah, I felt that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's how it always goes.
Yeah. I mean, for me, weddings were not on my radar at
Same.
all. Like, I was like, hell no. Like, no, not for me. And then I shot my first one and I was like, yep, this is the life for me.
Yeah, and I literally think I talk about this all the time,
Yeah.
and it was the same for me. I
Yeah.
was corporate world, TV world, and weddings were frowned upon.
Yeah.
If you're a wedding videographer, you're less than.
So did you do both jobs for a while?
Yeah, actually for like 4 to 5 years.
Oh, really?
I didn't go full time until I moved markets from New York to North Carolina, because I had to, because Squarespace was only in the tri-state area at the time.
Yeah.
So I was leaving because I dropped a 2-week notice out of the blue. Mind you, I was like an entry-level manager too, so they're like, bro, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving. And they're like, okay. We
Yeah.
just dipped. No job, no nothing. Moved
So
markets.
let's talk about that, because I feel like that happens fairly often. You see people talking about, like, I'm moving markets. How established was your photography business in New York before you moved? And then how did you go about establishing yourself in a state that's 1,000 miles away?
Yeah. I mean, so the first thing that's weird about it is that while I was established in New York, and I guess I felt like I had a hard time booking there. Mm-hmm. I kind of felt like a small fish in an ocean, basically. Mm-hmm. The one thing I had going for me for North Carolina is that's where I'm from, like born and raised. So that helped a little bit, but I had no portfolio. I had never shot down there or anything. So I think the main thing I did when I first came down here was really hit on any local things I could do. So there's like one big expo that they do in the area. I attended that like once or twice. I did a couple of styled shoots, which were a whole ordeal, but they were worth doing. But there was like a lot of work. We did one where we went to the beach and we started like sunrise. So mind you, the beach is like a 3-minute drive. It's like a 3-hour drive for me. And then the next day we did a shoot out in the mountains, which is also a 3-hour drive. So it was
gosh.
drive out, styled shoot, drive back, drive out again.
Oh,
so I was
geez.
doing stuff like that to really just get people to know me. I did the big fake wedding. They were in the town at the time. So I did all these things. And then luckily, Raleigh right now is like one of the top places that people are moving to for whatever reason. Like everyone in the whole world trying to come here.
Yeah.
So I had this connection with a lot of people because I had been living up in the northern area, like Boston, New York, New Jersey, for like 15-ish years. So I was up there enough to like get enough of the culture, but I was from North Carolina. So I got a lot of people who either are from North Carolina living in New York or are from New York and they moved down. And so like I could easily connect with all of them. And that all of those things together kind of led to me doing well when I moved markets.
A lot of
Yeah.
networking and a lot of just
of it.
like styled shoots and just
Building that portfolio
building
for
a
that
portfolio.
area.
I mean, I feel like that's almost like starting from the ground up, but
Yeah.
you're able to do it faster because you already kind of knew what you were doing.
Yeah, and then what was weird too is so I got down here, and again I was feeling like a small fish in a large pond, but then I came down here and I felt like a big fish in like a little lake. But then I kept getting booked in New York. I still get booked in New York all the time.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm like, why weren't y'all booking when I was up there?
Yeah,
So I don't understand.
That is
you
kind of
want
funny.
what you can't have or that's hard to get. So like they want John, but you're like, you should have had me like 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's funny. So did it feel like how long did it take for you to start to feel like established in that area or like start booking weddings in that area?
Like enough
Probably
to be.
like it was like a year or so.
Yeah.
I think, and I just did a video on this, but the knot was a big portion of what
Yes.
helped.
Yes.
However, the knot is kind of, I don't know, they're weird. I have this theory that when you pay for a lot of their services, the first year they give you as much work as they can, like real work. And then the second year they kind of back off, and then that's when you start getting all the like spammy, like not real seeming couples. Because yeah, I booked 40 weddings my first year off of the Knot. Like I was getting all my stuff from the Knot. It was great.
Yeah.
So between all the networking, style shoots and stuff, and 40 weddings, yeah, that like really set the ground. And then after that, it just kind of rolled normally. And then I ended up quitting the Knot. Because I wasn't getting anything else. I really think that's what they do. They're like, we got to make sure they keep paying. So the first year, make it
Yeah, it is really interesting. I mean, my first year in like full time in business, same as you. Like I booked like 35 weddings from it.
Yeah, it was like 90% of our bookings for probably 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, it was great, and then eventually it just kind of didn't do it for us, but. Yeah, we recently actually just got back on it just to give it like a go.
And because we're trying to break into Chicago.
Chicago, yeah. I don't know why I said it like that. But yeah, so we're paying for a spot in Chicago right now, and in St. Louis, and we were just curious of like how the pricing structure has changed. We're digressing, but that's okay. Because I heard that like inquiries are coming through with a higher price budget.
Because originally that's why we dropped off, because like every single lead we'd get was so far under budget. There's no way they're going to book us.
You do it for $2.
And their max listing is like 5,000 plus.
I actually emailed them recently because I got an email from a bride that inquired with me, and we have that 5+ on our profile, and that's all you can do unless you upload like a PDF, which I don't want to do that
because we do like custom packages. So
right. So she emailed me and she was like, cringe face. She was like, "Oh, your profile says that you are below 5,000." I was like,
"No, you're 5,000."
Yeah, and I was like, "Well, hun, I told her, I was like, I'm sorry, but like the Knot doesn't allow us to put anything more expensive than that." So I apologize for the miscommunication, but she was pretty upset. So after that, I was like, and then that was probably like the 5th time I had heard that, and like honestly like a couple months. And so I emailed them and I was like, guys, is there like any plans for the future to like increase this bracket? And they told me no.
Wow. Because see, what people miss too, especially if you're not necessarily luxury, but just like higher end clients, like people who can spend that kind of money look at 5,000 like, what's wrong with you?
Exactly.
Like, the photos look good,
catch?
but you're cheap. Yeah, so there must be something wrong. And so then you just lose that on that market.
But that's probably why they don't get those people on the Knot, is because of that specific thing.
I think they're missing out.
Those people got the money too.
Yeah. Right.
Like, they're missing out on the money. You would think B2B, like that's what you do.
I am
Y'all
curious
got money,
of
here's the service.
Exactly. I'm curious of like their mindset behind not wanting to increase their bracket for budget, because I don't know. I just feel like they're missing out. If they're wanting to make money from photographers paying for spots, they're missing out on those luxury photographers actually being wanting to be a part or can be a part. Anyway, I digress. But
I think they're just like they didn't pivot when the industry pivoted, and they're hurting now because of it. And that's just either they're going to change eventually or they're going to go away in the next 5 years.
But like any photographer, and we've said this before on here, any photographer like just starting out, whether they're like you starting in a new market or just starting their business in general, I always do recommend starting on the Knot, because it's a great resource for newer photographers or getting established in a new market, or
even just for a year, just to get your feet wet and get some bookings.
Yeah, for sure.
Get some reviews and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're established in North Carolina now. And I remember in one of the groups that we were both in, you said, "Hey guys, I'm starting YouTube. Go follow my channel." What led up to you finally saying, "You know what? I'm going to be a YouTuber"?
So that's also backstory. And again, talking about the fact that I did audio. So I had a channel in the past where I taught music production, sound design type stuff. That was in the golden age of YouTube, which was like 2007.
Yep.
Back then, I didn't really care about YouTube. I was just kind of like, I like making videos. That channel did okay. I got it up to about 8,000 subscribers. So it was actually moving if I would have kept up with it. So I had YouTube chops already. So again, I moved from New York back to North Carolina, had to quit my job. So me and my wife are living off of savings, which we had some kind of like stock option thing that happened with Squarespace. So we had some money, and the plan was basically like, okay, we got this money, let's try to make photography work, and if not, my resume is decent, I can definitely get a job. And at worst, my parents are like down the road.
Yeah.
You know? And at this time, we had 2 kids at this point. So again, shout out to my wife, because she was really the one, because I was like, we can't just move without me having a job. With 2 kids, she was like, it's gonna be fine, bro, do it. And I was like, okay.
The bigger the risk, the bigger the reward.
Did you move to North Carolina to be closer to family, I guess?
Yeah, and like the pricing of everything was better, and we were having kids, and we were like, I mean, my wife's from Boston, so you think she would have been fine with it, but like I was like, I can't handle New York and kids. Shout out to everybody who has kids in New York, because I don't know how y'all do it.
I've heard that.
Yeah, I had my first New York experience. Was that this year? Is that earlier this year or that was last year?
I think it was this year. It was this year.
It was earlier, January of this year.
Because we talked about it on the first podcast for the year.
That feels like so long ago. I don't know why. But we literally went January 1 to New York.
Like they flew in after the New Year's Eve party.
Yeah, and people who listen to every episode of our podcast are going to be like, Veronica, you tell this story all the time. But we went to Times Square, and they had all the confetti there still, and it was absolutely incredible.
It was still floating in the air.
It was still floating in the air.
Oh, wow.
It was incredible. Anyway, that was my first time ever being in New York. Part of me was completely like in love with it. Central Park is amazing. Like I'm dying to do an engagement session in Central Park.
They saw the last Rockette show.
Somebody bring me to New York for a photo session. But part of me loved it, and then I would say like 70% of me was like completely overstimulated the whole time.
Yeah.
So I don't see how I could function with children in that city.
Oh man, that's gotta be brutal.
I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I don't know. Like just driving there, I was like, like it's crazy. It's crazy. I thought Chicago was bad, but yeah. Anyway.
So when you started YouTube, sorry, I'm gonna bring us back on track.
Yeah.
When you started YouTube, did you use the channel that you already had and just rebranded that channel, or did you start a whole new channel?
I started a whole new channel because so we moved down here, and then I had already kind of started the channel. Actually, the real backstory is that I was trying to get hired by Honeybook, and while I was at Squarespace, I was on their video team who made a lot of the videos for their like knowledge base, like the help stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe I can do that for companies, and then they can pay me. So if you go back and look at my first videos, which YouTube now lets you sort by oldest, you'll see they're very corporate-y. They're very like no face. Like, this is how you do whatever in Honeybook. And like, first you go here, and they're short. There's like to the point. Yeah. I think I interviewed with them 2 or 3 times, and they didn't hire me, which is funny because they didn't realize it, but we're like besties. So whenever I tell them the story, they're like, "What? We didn't hire you?" I'm just like,
hey, now they pay you
for
still.
the better. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh gosh, I'm sorry."
So I was doing that. We moved to North Carolina, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna make videos because I like doing it. And I remember exactly telling my wife, like, I'm just gonna make videos and not really care, and whatever. And then like 20-ish videos in, barely. Not even. It was more like 10. I got my first video that pushed me into the partner program. So then at that point I was getting paid. So I was like, I guess I'll just do once a week. And then it just rolled from there.
Now was that the first behind the scenes wedding video that you did that took off?
No, my first video, and I talk about like YouTube strategy. Like I actually teach on this stuff too. My first video that popped off was about editing in Lightroom on an iPad. But that was before anyone even took it legitimately. Yeah. So that was one strategy. But the second one was I released it when a new iPad dropped.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember that. And was that the one that you said you sold it?
No, it was
that was another one. Okay, geez.
Yeah,
There's so many. Real old. You've been putting out a lot of content, but
well, see, so that's what happened.
I can picture several.
I put out the iPad one and it popped off, so then I was like, great, and I kept doing iPad videos. Because even the one that I said that I sold it, and YouTube is the weirdest thing. Mm-hmm. That was like, I was legitimately like, I thought I was gonna upgrade, and I was like, you know what, I don't like this, so I'm just gonna go back to what I was using. So like, it's not like I was trying to make a video for something. I was literally like, I'm gonna return it. I was just like, well, I guess I'll make a video about it. And that video popped off too, and I was like, oh, okay. I was just literally like, I'm returning it because I didn't like it.
It's because the drama. People love the drama.
It's sensationalized because you're like, I'm returning my iPad. And I'm like, what?
They're like, oh my God, why? And they're like, I need to know why.
And I didn't even think that. I was like, well, and so I've gotten in this habit now of like, anytime I do anything, I probably should make a video about it. Yeah. Like, you may as well just make a video. It's actually hard to keep up with. I always forget to do it because I'm just living my life, you know, and I'm a gearhead too, you know, like, oh, maybe I should switch this out for this other thing. And then I forget to make a video about it. And yeah.
I'm the same way. Like I'll be editing, and like we did a shoot for Justin Alexander last year.
Yeah.
It was sometime last year. And I had a shot of one of the girls in the dress, and we had our backdrop up, but you could see the stands and the wall behind it on the sides, but I wanted that nice wide shot. So I went in and I masked around it and I expanded it and I made it a flat white background. And then I did it, and Veronica goes, you just did that so fast. You should have recorded it so we could put it on YouTube.
You just missed a prime opportunity. Yeah. So do you, so when you're like at your desk and you're like, I'm going to just try something new, do you do like a screen recording and like just have like a backlog of videos that you're like, oh, well, I probably need to do voiceover work for this, or, you know, like whatever the case might be?
Oh my goodness. I probably should, but no.
No.
I said I'm the absolute, when you really start digging into the way I function, I'm the absolute worst. I'm like a creative through and through, just unorganized and just like, so my day-to-day, generally, I try my best to like brain dump ideas and then go back and re-record it. But then it's pretty much when I get the inspiration to do the thing, then I'm like, great. And I like do it. And then again, I'm extra. So even talking about screen recording, I never just screen record, right? Like I'll screen record and record my thing at the same time. So I have the 2 videos. So I have to have 2 audio logs so I can sync them together. And it's this whole thing.
Yep.
Super extra about everything for absolutely
it's no reason. Perfectionist in us.
Yeah.
I'm the
so
same way.
How do you, like, what does it look like for you? You know, because we are like on this YouTube journey as well. And I feel like I relate to you in that aspect where I'm like, nothing good's going to come from me being planned out necessarily. Like sometimes it will, but like I feel like I do my best like spontaneously, like when I'm feeling creative or inspired. But with YouTube, I do feel like you have to plan out your content and you have to like record and batch record, because we've learned this the hard way. You can fall behind like really easily. And so Alex is like, hey, we need to have ideas. We need to come into the studio. We need to record 5 videos on Tuesday. And I'm like,
I mean, that's why the podcast took us. This is our 3rd year doing the podcast.
Yeah.
And this is the longest we've gone.
I mean, this is
because
different
we
though.
are actually batch recording them and staying ahead, as opposed to before. We were to a point where we had to record the week before.
Yeah.
And then busy season took off, and we're just like, something's got to give. That's got to give.
I feel like this is different though, because this doesn't. You can get creative with it, but this is more just like easy conversation based. Whereas YouTube, I'm in my head like, it's got to be aesthetically pleasing. It's got to be interesting. It's got to be educational. It's got to be short. It's got to be to the point. And I'm like,
and she's also in her head about she doesn't think she's a good teacher, but she really is.
Okay. Anyway, I appreciate that. But anyway, what does it look like for you? Like, do you actually have a strategy behind like planning out your content, or do you just like go off script and like when you feel inspired, you record?
Yeah, I just kind of do it. And that's funny. You were talking about like, we're recording like the week before that. That's me on the norm. And that's why, again, it's funny because a lot of people be like, wow, he's doing so great. When I had sponsors where I was doing like 3 sponsored videos a month, mind you, I only record videos for like 1 video a week. So that was like literally all my videos. And it would be actually, well, no, we're at the beginning of the month, but usually what would happen to me is it would be like the 15th. And I haven't done any sponsored videos yet. And so I'm like, oh God, I have to make these videos. And that's my usual. Yeah. I've been trying to get better about batching, but I'm still not that great at it. Generally what happens, again, is I brain dump. And then I try and plan out like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And this is when I'm going to record it. And it depends on the types of videos. So I just now got someone to help me kind of edit my videos.
That's
but
good.
so the talking head videos, which are just like a straight like, hello, here I am. Those are easier to do.
Yep.
Like I can like be sitting down at breakfast with the family and be like, oh, there's an idea. Boom. Go upstairs real quick. And I usually only outline my videos. So I never go off of a script. So the outline is enough for me to be able to stay on track. And generally what I'll do is I'll have like my iPad off to the side. So then I can be like, here's the thing I'm talking about. What's next? Cool. Here's the thing I'm talking. And that's how I usually record the stuff.
Yeah.
The other style of videos are the shoot videos. Those are more involved and a little annoying, but I do them for the viewers. That's where I have a bunch scheduled at the end of this week, but I go out and I have to do an actual shoot and I have someone else recording me and a tripod and I got to come back and edit the whole video and stuff. But yeah, it's very much it's very much just like, okay, what am I doing this week? I got to do something. I need a video.
We get there a lot too, but it's kind of that way, but also like I'm trying to be mindful of like, because my previous job was in production and TV stuff, their big push was YouTube. So I was part of that whole strategy and recording and doing all that. So I know the game plan.
Yeah.
Luckily, one of the guys I worked with is actually helping run our YouTube and edits a lot of our education content too.
Nice.
So we're like, if we're doing this, we're doing it at the get because it's only going to help us in the future. And it has. But we'll get to a point where like, hey, we're recording in the studio tomorrow. What the heck are we going to teach
what are
on?
we doing?
What are we going to talk about?
And then I just feel like so stressed. Like
So the way that usually happens with me, because again, so we have 4 kids now. We actually have one more on the way.
Oh,
And
congrats.
I took the master bedroom in our place. So that's my YouTube studio. And the kids of the family, they're awesome because when I'm like, hey, daddy's recording, like they do get quiet enough for me to do this stuff.
That's
But
good.
what will happen is my wife will be like, hey, I'm going to go do errands. I'm going to take all the kids with me. What are you going to record? And I'll be like, oh God, I don't know. I don't have anything written down. Is like, but no one's in the house. Like you need to go ahead. Like that's when I should be batching. So yeah, the plan for me, and this is because I'm just a pure creative, I need to get to a place where I have like 5 videos that I can just sit down and do. And so then if and when I get those times where she's like, I'm heading out for a couple hours, I can just batch them and then be ahead of it rather than me always just being like, let me record something right now.
Right.
Yeah. So throughout your journey on YouTube, where have you seen and I know you teach on this, so feel free to like be vague, but how have you seen like the progression of your channel with your posting strategy?
That's a hard one because I feel like it always just kind of just happens and I never understand. But yeah, I've always tried to just post once a week.
Yeah.
Now I have seen YouTube as a very like whatever you put into it is what you'll get out of it.
Yeah.
It's very straightforward, like it's ad revenue. So like you make more videos and each video gets ad revenue, you make more money. So I have been trying to post more, but also make it like content that makes sense.
Right.
Shorts is a whole nother story, which those are popping off now too. So I've been trying to do that. But yeah, I just really, one thing that always has surprised people when I talk to them about stuff is I've never really been ruled by the social media networks and like how much I need to post.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing with Instagram. It was like, oh, you got to post. I'm like, I kind of don't care. I'm going to post when I feel like it. YouTube is kind of the same. Like the only reason I stay as consistent as I do is because I have sponsors. That was the saving grace of sponsors. It's because when I have the same amount of sponsors now, but less videos I have to do. And yeah, sometimes I'll have a month where I only do 2 to 3 videos because there's only 2 that I contractually have to do. And whereas when I had 3, it was like, okay. And some of my best ideas came because I had to make something. Yeah. So it's half and half, I guess.
That's the creative thing again, too. Like, I'm the same way. When I have to do it, that's when things actually start clicking. Because otherwise, I'm thinking too much into it.
Yeah, like you work better under pressure. Yeah. Have you ventured into TikTok yet?
I have not. And I don't know why. I can't. I think it's because I'm older. I had a hard time doing vertical videos in the first place. I'm surprised I even was able to start doing YouTube Shorts Because I remember trying to get into TikTok, and I was like, at first I was just like, oh, they're just dancing. While I like to dance, and y'all have seen I dance a lot, but I was just like, I can't. And I don't know, no hate to anyone, but that's not really dancing. Just standing there being like,
yeah,
you know, like I don't like.
yeah.
I want to see you like do the thing, not just stand here and like.
We're gonna put this on TikTok.
And then everyone's gonna be like, who's this old guy hating?
We're actually about to, so when we started YouTube, it was like our game plan was shorts are big right now. We're going to lean into shorts.
Yeah.
So when we first started, we were posting 3 to 4 times a day, every single day.
Wow.
We would do, the goal was up to 3 full form videos a week, which would include the podcast and education video and some sort of wedding related video, and then shorts around those. And then right now we're at 2, which is about roughly 2 full
It's
form
going
videos
down
a day.
because we're dwindling on content.
No, it's because we hit our spike and we've kind of leveled off. Like we hit what, like 1,000, we hit like 1,200 subs in like 1 month.
Nice.
Because a video took off.
Yeah.
But we're about to try to do a push on TikTok, and I want to test this. So I'm like, let's do 100 posts in 30 days. Because they say if you post multiple times a day, you're going to have the best traction on TikTok.
Yeah.
So we're going to test this and see how well it does.
I'm a little nervy about it. I'm nervous. The community and air quote the community,
They're vultures.
they can be really mean. And I'm a little sensitive gal. So I'm nervous about it. But as far as like the posting strategy is on Instagram, John, I feel the same way. I'm like, I'm just going to post when I want to post. Because I feel like if I push it, my captions are like not interesting. They're plain. They're like not giving any value. Mm-hmm. And I sometimes struggle with that just in all aspects of what we do. I'm like, if I just push it too much, I feel like nothing's valuable.
Yeah.
You're a perfectionist.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But do you ever feel that way?
Kind of. I don't like overloading myself. Like, I'm a very low stress person. I can handle stress pretty well. I don't know if that's like a problem, sometimes
no,
like,
that's great.
Why don't you ever get stressed? Because I have trauma. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
But like, I try not to like push things too hard to a place where it like makes me be like, so I'm usually just like, you know what, I'm just gonna post whenever and the stuff will be fine and it'll be cool, and it seems to be working. But the main thing, going back to that first question about TikTok too, YouTube has money. Like there is money. I feel like TikTok is good for being seen and leading people to places, whereas YouTube is just straight up money. And I tell people that all the time because, again, no hate, but I always go to a lot of like either conferences or something where people are talking about social media. And it's like, oh my God, Instagram Reels, oh my God, TikTok. And I'm like, can y'all pay your bills though with your videos?
Right.
Oh wait, you have to get 1 million views just to like, I can go get 100 views and make like a couple $1,000. Mm-hmm. You know, like I'm not going to waste my time. So I'll post up to TikTok, but I'm just kind of like, eh.
And I think that is like kind of the goal for us because what we've seen.
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah. What we've seen is that TikTok leads people to your Instagram, to your YouTube, but it's not the other way around.
So like the goal in general, especially when you do it as a business, is to get somebody into your world and then to jump
branch
around
off
in your world. So you want somebody on your Instagram to go to your YouTube channel, to go to your TikTok, all that stuff. But it's been seen since TikTok's been around. There's a good like, what's the word? There's a good like view of what this looks like, and definitely TikTok, when somebody's big on TikTok, they're also big on YouTube and Instagram if they're on those platforms. But if somebody's big on Instagram, they're not necessarily going to be big on YouTube or TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing too. All the people who get big on TikTok immediately try to move to YouTube. Mm-hmm. So like, and that's what I'm trying to tell people. Like, YouTube is where it's at. If you can get enough people to know you on TikTok, you need to go to YouTube and get them to come there. Because again, YouTube's owned by Google. Like it literally is the second largest search engine under Google because it is. It's like video Google. So and that's why I always just. You know, when they were doing the Reels bonuses and people were like, I made $100. And I'm like, you had to work so hard for that $100.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal, because we kind of like established ourselves as like we're being serious on YouTube. So if we can get a push from TikTok, then they'll go to our channel and say, oh, they've got like 460 videos on their account. Let me go fish around for a little while.
Yeah. So let's talk about sponsors for a second, because you mentioned those a couple times. I think when people are, getting into YouTube and like trying to take it super seriously, I think that's one of the main things that people think about in the forefront of it is like, how do I get sponsored, or how do I get sponsorships? So I would love to hear a little bit about your journey with that. Like, did you reach out to companies? Did they reach out to you? Like, what did that look like?
And also the vetting process, because I do know that there are a lot of people, viewers wise, that are like, well, this is sponsored, so how much can I trust it? Or how do you approach that also? That's
the hardest part. Yeah, I'll get into that secondly. But first off, I've been very lucky to have most of my sponsors find me.
Yeah.
And one thing I'll say to anybody trying to get into YouTube, sponsors, you can get them earlier than you think. A lot of people think they have to have like a huge following, but really it's free advertising. Because to think about it from a business perspective, if you know anything about the marketing world, first off, marketing's big money. Like you're talking Super Bowl commercial, big money.
Yep.
Yeah.
So technically, for these businesses sponsoring people, they're getting stuff for like pennies on the dollar.
Yep.
Like it seems like we're making all this money, but really they're the ones benefiting. And that's kind of how the creator economy works. You see these people like big YouTubers making millions of dollars, but really that's chump change when it comes to marketing.
Yeah.
So again, it's easier to get in with sponsors early on. And most of mine found me. I remember when Squarespace reached out to me, which was funny, because I had only been away from the company for maybe like a year. And I don't know, because the teams are all separate. So we were customer service, we were doing all that stuff. So we didn't know the marketing team directly. So it's just funny because they're like, hey, your YouTube's looking pretty legit. And I was like, hey, friends, I know you. But most of my sponsors were like that. Actually, something I need to work on is reaching out to more. But a lot of time what tends to happen is that, and this goes into the second question, is I tend to look for either sponsors or affiliates of things that I already talk about. And yes, sometimes I get comments where people are like, oh, just sponsored or whatever, which is, it's hands down the most annoying, because what I don't understand about it, right, is if we were sitting here talking, I was like, oh, I got this new pair of Levi's jeans, so awesome. Technically, that was an ad, really.
Yeah.
So whenever people are like, you're just saying that because you get paid, it's like, I may as well get paid if I actually, and I do actually like these things. It's the hardest thing, and I think your real viewers get it, but it's the hardest thing to be like, hey, this is something I've been spending my real money on before I got affiliated.
Right.
And I'm telling you about it because it's good and it will help you. And they're like, oh, you're just trying to get paid. It's like, but what if I wasn't? Does that make it like, it doesn't cost you more. I'm just getting paid. Like, so what's the problem? I have the hardest time. It's a weird trust thing.
And I don't really get when money comes into the equation that mindset changes.
I feel like that mindset is based on the fact that people see that money changed hands, so you're more obligated to give a positive review.
Yeah, and there's some people who do only give reviews for, like, I understand that there is a section of people who just, like, are saying good things because they're getting paid. So I do get that side of it, too.
But I've also seen in the last couple of years, especially, a lot of these gear reviewers, for example, will get a camera and they'll make a point to say, I have zero obligation to give this a positive review. They want me to be 100% honest with that, because some companies, and before that, and just based on my experience in that world, they have a clause about talking negatively about the product that they're sending you.
Yeah. I feel like this conversation's making me think of Keith Lee. Do you know who Keith Lee is?
No.
He is a TikToker.
He's a food
blogger, I guess, a food critic. But he's just like a normal guy, and he just started doing these like food reviews of Las Vegas food because that's where he lives. And he would go and like to a restaurant that nobody's heard of and get the food and rate it 1 through 10. But he is massive now. Like he has done stuff with Kevin Hart and like he's blown up. And he always, I mean, he's never paid, at least to my knowledge, to give a food review. But he's always like 100% honest, even like with the Kevin Hart restaurant that he did. He has like a vegan,
it's like a vegan
burger place or chicken or something like that. I don't know. But he was like, I know that this is Kevin Hart, but like, I don't really care. Like, I'm still going to tell you if your shit sucks. So like, so I think that it's about my point in telling that story is I think it's about just like building trust in your viewers. And once you have like a tone set on your channel or on your space, whatever platform you're, working on, people start to really understand your character. And like, hopefully the majority are going to trust what you're saying. And then you always have like a few of those.
You
like,
always
trolls,
have the haters that pop into the works and say, you got paid for this, but you know what? I always like to be like, well, you commented, so you're helping me. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest thing, the hardest thing for me too, is like a lot of people don't see the amount of things I turn away. Like at this point, it's annoying how many people contact me to be like, hey, can you review this thing? And I'm just like, please stop. Like, stop. Please, God, stop emailing me. That's so many That's the majority of my day is wasted going through these emails of all these people trying to give me stuff all the time. So like, it really is hard when like I do all that. And then, I recently got an affiliate with the suit company I wear. Mind you, I bought like 3 suits before I got affiliated. And so then people are like, oh, you're just getting, it's like, but I like them.
Send me that link.
I may as well get paid for them, like I really do like the suits and I bought them myself. So it's interesting, but the real ones, they'll understand, they get it.
Yeah.
Again, if they were in the position, they would do the same thing. Like,
absolutely.
If I like Levi's jeans and I'm like, Levi jeans are cool, and then Levi says, hey, we'll pay you. And I'm like, well, I already like it. And you know what? The other thing that's hard for me is I'm just an overly optimistic type person. Mm-hmm. So like I get a camera to review and I'm like, this thing is awesome. Everything's great. And they're like, there's nothing wrong with it. And I'm like, oh, I just am so optimistic. I didn't really like sit down to think of what's wrong. I'm not I just don't talk a lot of negative stuff.
Yeah.
I don't like doing that either, but like we're pure Canon people. So like if Canon said, hey, here's some cameras, give us a review.
Yeah,
in general, I'd be like, yeah, these are great. But I've been very vocal about, like, even if Canon paid me and sent me an R7, I'd still be the same amount of vocal about how much I don't really like it for a lot of things, because I know it's at a certain cost, but I feel like at that cost, there's better cameras out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, you know a lot about video, you know a lot about audio and photography.
And YouTube,
have you ever thought about doing videography, like as like a wedding videographer, or have you? And maybe I just am like, and have no idea.
Yeah, I've dabbled in it. I've shot maybe 1 or 2 weddings video. Video is,
it's a beast.
Goodness.
Yeah.
It's so much.
It is.
Like I understand it, but yeah, I normally focus on smaller, easier video stuff. Because again, at the end of the day, the real reason I was even able to do video is because I was an audio person at first. So the way you edit video and audio is very similar. Mm-hmm. So it was easy for me to just be like, oh yeah, this is like audio, and then learn from there. And then because I was doing photography, that's also like the cousin of video.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you start being like, oh, it's just and then I was able to, that's kind of how I got into video. Because I had never in my life thought I would be doing video. And it was like, wow, you're like a video guy. And I'm like, I
Not
just
really.
figured it out.
Yeah, that's funny.
I also think that's probably why you see more wedding video related people on YouTube than you do wedding photo related people.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Is because of that. There's that other side of it that you got from being, in audio production that is more complicated than just knowing photography.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of photographers are like, video.
I know. I feel that way a little bit. I shoot some video with him, but I'm like,
she's good though.
Can you like help me with the settings? So how many weddings are you like taking a year right now with your YouTube load?
So I just kind of started saying I was going to take maybe 5 to 15. Mainly if they're local, because again, going back to getting booked in New York, I have a hard time booking in my own city, which I still don't understand. Another fun fact is I get most of my increase now from YouTube, which was something else I didn't even think would happen.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
So I'm trying to only do 5 to 15 because what happened last year was kind of like the year my YouTube really started picking up, started getting more sponsors, but I had like 20 weddings on the book. And I was just like, what is this? And every week I was like, oh my God. So yeah, now I'm like, if it's local, I'll push to 15. If I'm doing like out of the state, maybe 10, maybe 10.
Yeah.
So you said that your leads are coming from YouTube. Are you, because I mean, we've seen your YouTube channel. It's a lot of just like educational based stuff. Are you getting industry people hiring you, or is it non-industry people hiring you based off of your educational stuff?
You're in my brain because I had a question related to that. Like those BTS videos, do you find, is it more people in the industry, or is it a lot of just
Brides
people that are interested in weddings or maybe getting married or just got married that just kind of want to see that?
Yeah, it's less industry people. It's usually
That's
what will
so
happen
interesting.
is it's more like photography novices, or just like they dabble in photography, and then they see it and they're like, oh, this dude's legit and his photos are good and I'm watching how he does it. And then what happens too is the leads are way hotter because when we get on like Zoom to have a meeting, it's less of me having to sell what I do and everything. It's more so like they already know me.
Yeah.
Actually, the meetings are almost weird because I'm like, I don't even know what to say to y'all because they're just like, oh my God, John Branch. I've had a couple literally were like, just tell us how much we have to pay. And I was like,
I gotta know if I'm a good fit for you still though. If you're a good fit for me,
Yeah.
I gotta ask questions.
Yeah. I mean, that's really cool though. And we've gotten a couple leads from YouTube. Like they filled out the inquiry form and they're like, we just binged your YouTube channel. And I feel the same way. I was like, oh, that's kind of like an intimidating feeling because I go into these meetings with these couples, like just wanting to learn about them. And I anticipate that they want to learn about me, but I'm like, I feel like they already know who I am, which is like, which is great.
We try to show up because of that.
Yeah. I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
Like I already kind of, they wouldn't be inquiring with me if they didn't like me. So I already am under the impression that they like me. But it is like a different like vibe, in a good way,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably why I'll never stop posting wedding videos on our YouTube, along with the education stuff, along with the podcast, because that's a lot of our audience is that side of it that just want to see wedding stuff.
Yeah, I think, and I would love to hear what you think about this since your leads are coming from that. But I think that the behind the scenes world of what we do is just like super interesting to some people. So even if they're not in the industry, when they're actually able to watch you do what you do, there's a level of trust that gets instilled in them. And they're like, oh, I already know what to expect before even hiring you.
Exactly.
Do you think that that's like why those leads are coming from that?
Yeah, I think it helps. And again, too, it's a lot of people who dabble in photography, so they kind of get it. But I think that's a big, because I even do that too. Like I'll send it to couples that I just met. Maybe they inquired off of Google. And I'll be like, hey, if you're interested in how I work, check out this video. And they're like, oh, wow. I've had couples now not hire videographers because they're like, oh my God, you're going to make a BTS of our thing? And I'm like, wow, are you serious? Like, we'll just watch that. And I'm like, but it's
not the same.
not my view, but okay, that's fine, I guess.
So,
and they're like legitimately excited about it. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So sorry if this is like not a question you're okay with answering. We can digress if it's not. But have you charged for that before? Like have people been like, hey, can I pay you to like get the behind the scenes of our wedding?
No. So far, the only videography stuff I'll charge for is if they just want the ceremony recorded. I'm like, I'll throw some things on a tripod.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do give like a slight discount because I make it back on the YouTube end.
Yeah.
My BTS videos are actually my best performing videos overall. So sometimes when a couple's cool, I'll just be like, hey, if you want to save a couple $100, are you cool with me recording your wedding? And they're just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
I mean
that's a good idea. We've been talking about how we've done a BTS for two weddings,
and this footage is sitting in the archives.
We haven't posted them yet, but they were a while ago too. One was 2020, one was 2019.
No, they were both 2021. They were both 2021.
Okay,
but one was that Spark like.
Yeah. We need to post those, but I want to do more because our weddings now are kind of they can be a little chaotic because there's always like a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
But we also have a large team. We have a team of 4.
So we have to make sure that they're okay with having another 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what whenever I do a BTS, I'm rolling through like 4 deep, and then they also get their own videographers. So there's like 6 of us in total. It's just a lot of people.
Yeah, it's like a whole group. Yeah. So, yeah.
Get somebody with a boom pole.
Yeah, do the whole put a tripod
do it big.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's really cool. I mean, I think that's super encouraging to hear that your leads are coming from that. What percentage wise would you say is that?
At this point, probably like 80%, if not more.
Really?
That's good.
It's the majority, yeah.
That's so cool. That's cool.
That's where our Instagram was for a while.
Yeah.
And it still kind of
Instagram's still popping for increase.
Yeah.
So I still get increase from Instagram too. That's the thing people miss. Everyone's trying to jump on TikTok, and again, I don't know how well it works, but Instagram, I feel like you get more serious people who are trying to find a thing.
Mm-hmm.
TikTok's just like, I want to see something stupid. And they flip it
Yeah.
and
I
like,
think
let
that's
me see something.
I think that's our end goal for TikTok really is just to be seen to get more people to the other places anyway. Because I don't foresee us getting a whole lot from TikTok.
I feel like Instagram is like a vibe check. I said this on a post the other day. I was like, I feel like, the inquiries that we get from Instagram, it's like, I don't know. The vibe is different in a good way. Yeah. Like they're a little bit more serious, maybe a little bit more, like just the vibe is like just kind of what we're going for. Like, I don't know, direct flash vibes and like moody old Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then TikTok is just like crazy, like just crazy
party
vibes.
Yeah. Everything,
which is
dancing.
fun. That's great. But
I think the dance videos have kind of come back a little bit though, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's good.
Well, we can wrap up here, but I would love to
I could talk all day.
I know you could.
I mean,
I'm like you and John could probably have a whole gear conversation.
Yeah, let's do another one.
So I would love to hear like any piece of advice that you might have for listeners who are thinking about starting their YouTube journey or just getting started, as well as like the photography side of that too.
Yeah. So for the YouTube side, I would say, like, clearly don't give up on the grind, but also don't push too hard. If you're going to do 1 video a month, that's fine. Keep it consistent, but don't think that you have to do a lot. And also, don't focus on yourself. It's a bad habit I see a lot of people starting YouTube. You need to make videos in the sense of trying to give something to someone else rather than you making the video for them, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, when they start out, their YouTube channel, like their new videos will be like, hi, I'm making this video because it's too much like I'm doing this for you versus
like me.
like, here's the thing.
Yeah, like watch me.
Yeah, it's YouTube in its inception was YouTube, like you, me, but now YouTube is you as in the viewer.
Yeah.
And you have to think like that. Like, it's not me, I'm the product. It's about them, YouTube.
I feel like we should snap for that. That was pretty good. Like,
yeah, I always come up with these weird analogies and stuff all the time. It's for the photography side of stuff, I would say, and I think this is one of the biggest things that helped me, was don't work for free unless it's what you want to do. Even if you're getting paid like $50 for a shoot, just put yourself in that mindset of like, I'm doing this for a business. Get away from art. You can make your art, but it's a business. You won't change your life with your business unless you're like, I'm making money. So unless it makes sense, like some of the styled shoots I did, like those are clearly free. But, someone comes to you and they're like, hey, do this thing for free. It'll be great exposure because it's going to be at this. No, don't.
Exposure doesn't pay my bills.
Nope.
Yeah. Even if it's a little bit of pay. Like, I don't know, there's something, not to make the story long, but I had started a audio production business before I did photography. And I went in there with the mindset of like, I have to pay my dues and, show that I'm good at the thing. And I became the free work guy. to the point where someone actually hired me for free to do audio for a documentary, 2 hours.
Oof.
And like, if you know anything about editing, 2 hours of audio editing, and it's literal months of work
Yep.
Yeah.
for free. The fact that
Yeah.
anyone even would hire someone like that was just like, what, y'all? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wow.
when I got to photography, I was just like, no, like, even if I'm getting paid only $50, like, I'm getting paid for something, and that carried on to the rest of the work. So don't be afraid to get paid.
You
Yeah.
got to know where that line is from business owner and creative, because you have to make your money because it's a business. So if you're going to do something for free, it has to further your business
Yep.
exponentially, or B, fill your cup creatively to the point that you're avoiding burnout, for example.
I also,
to be
I
able
feel
to-
like,
yep.
I feel like this might be an unpopular opinion, but, you know, if you're just starting out, I do feel like being paid, even if it's a small amount, like $50, there's a like something mentally that it sets, not that you're not going to take it seriously if it was free, but like it adds just a different level of pressure. Like I'm
Yeah.
being paid for this. Like I have to make sure that I'm like doing a good job. Because again, not to say that if you're doing it for free, you're going to be lazy, but there is more of a relaxed feel to it when it's
Yeah.
free versus when
Nothing's
it's not.
at stake.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So, so yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, don't be afraid to get paid. Love that.
Yeah, that's the quote
It
right there.
rhymes.
Boom.
That's
Put
the
it on a
quote.
shirt.
Yeah.
Doing it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today. We super appreciate it, John.
So
thank you for having
where
me.
can people find you at? Obviously YouTube, but where specifically?
Yeah, so pretty much everything is at JBIV Photography. So that's my website.com, my YouTube name, my Instagram name, all on
Oh,
the
the
interwebs.
IV. I didn't know that that's what that was for.
Yeah, the fourth, yep.
Oh my gosh. The connection I just made. Wow. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. Sorry.
Those will all be linked in the description. I call it a description today.
Yeah.
I always call it comments, but
Yeah.
that's
in
because
the
my brain is
description.
usually broken.
Yeah.
I do
Awesome.
that all the time, so I hate that in the tape. You're like, yeah, check out the comments below. I meant the description.
In
We've
the
just been leaning
description.
into it and just owning it, just, 'cause
We need
it's
to
just going to keep happening.
we need to post like our blooper reels because those are just
We've
ridiculous.
got so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for hanging out with us. Guys, go check out John Branch on YouTube, on Instagram, all the things. He's awesome. So
Yes.
definitely can learn a lot from him. Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.